Dear students, now I'm starting the explanation of the novel The Prince and the Pauper. Please open your novels. Chapter number 1, A Pauper and a Prince. All of you should listen quietly. Be attentive. The scene is London, 1537. The time is an autumn day. On this particular day, two boys were born, Tom Canty and Edward Tudor. They were born on the same day and were identical. Identical means they looked alike. They looked similar. But one thing was different. Tom belonged to a poor family, and Edward was a prince. He was the son of King Henry. Edward's mother, Queen Jane, was died when the prince born. Although people of England were so sad about the Queen, they were excited about the little prince. They celebrated the birth of this long-awaited child. There were feasting, dancing, music, and parades to celebrate the birth of Prince Edward Tudor. Everyone liked Edward, but nobody even knew about Tom Canty. Yes, after several years, London had become a crowded city, a big crowded city. Crowded means of a space full of people, leaving little or no room for movement. So many people lived there. The streets were narrow. In the crowded city of England, Tom's family lived in Fish Street. They lived in an old house on the third floor. The Canty family lived in only one room. In the corner, there was a bed for Tom's mother and father. Tom, his two sisters, and his grandmother had no beds. They slept on straw. Straw means dry grass or hay, usually waste product of wheat that's used as bedding for animals. So, students, they slept on straw. Most of the poor people in Fish Street didn't have beds in their houses, and they also slept on straw on the dirty floor. Tom lived in a one-room house with his gentle mother, two sisters, a terrible father, and a grandmother who beat him when he didn't earn enough money begging. Even his father didn't allow him to have dinner. He had to sleep hungry. Tom's father and grandmother couldn't teach him to steal. Steal means to take another person's things without his permission. So Tom didn't steal because of Father Andrew. Who was Father Andrew? Yes, dear students, Tom also had a friend, Father Andrew, who taught him to speak Latin. Latin is the language of the Roman long ago. Dear students, Father Andrew was an old priest. In Catholic Church, priest serves as the assistant and co-worker or helper. Priests are called Father for multiple reasons. As a sign of respect, and according to Christians, They act as spiritual leaders in the lives of human beings. So, Father Andrew had worked for King Henry and his family. He served them and lived with them in the great palace of Westminster. Look at the palace. What a wonderful palace. But when he became old, King Henry fired him from his job and sent him away. King Henry didn't give money to spend. Father Andrew was an old man. He couldn't earn enough money. He went to live in a small dark room in an old house in the Fish Street. Yes, Fish Street, where Tom lived. There, he started to teach children secretly. That was uncommon those days because only rich children had teachers. Poor children were not allowed to get education. As I told you before, Tom was a good student. The old priest, Father Andrew, taught Tom to read and write. At that time, only rich children had this opportunity to learn Latin. Poor children did not have the freedom to learn. Even they didn't get any chance to learn English language. Tom was lucky because Father Andrew was there. Although Tom was a poor boy, but Father Andrew taught him. That is all for today, students. I will explain the remaining part of this chapter. You should listen this lecture at least twice. So, don't forget to take your class tomorrow. The remaining part of this chapter will be explained tomorrow, inshallah. Allah Hafiz.